In his most recent piece for The Hollywood Reporter, columnist and NBA Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar opens up about his former friendship with Bill Cosby. With the disgraced star's second trial underway, Abdul-Jabbar reveals that he cannot watch Cosby shows without feeling anger, guilt, or shame as he confronts what offences are great enough to condemn the art along with the artist. Of course, in the last 6 months, industries from entertainment to politics have been rocked and outraged by the revelations of alleged predatory behavior by immensely powerful men, starting with the New York Times expose of Harvey Weinstein. But, writes Abdul-Jabbar, when that list includes names of beloved artists associated with social progress such as Bill Cosby, Sherman Alexie, and Al Franken, we are shaken on an even deeper level. Our initial anger and sense of betrayal makes us want to purge their artistic footprints from our cultural identity, and we are forced to ponder, what do we do with good art from bad people? Our columnist celebrates the positive changes we've seen in the wake of the Me Too and Time's Up movements. He writes that these include everything from more female-centric stories and entertainment to formalizing sexual harassment regulations to a general awareness of what we as a society have been doing wrong and how to stop doing it. But along with those overdue gains, notes Abdul-Jabbar, American culture has had some serious losses. The former NBA star reminisces about being a senior in high school in 1965 and struggling to find his identity as an African American during one of the most tumultuous times in US history. At the time, race riots swept the country and violent protests erupted in response to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Writes Abdul-Jabbar, I saw a glimmer of hope appear in mainstream American culture when the 1965 fall TV season brought a new NBC show called I Spy, featuring a couple of buddy spies, one white, one black. Black? Never before had there been a black person in a starring role on a TV drama. The African-American spy was none other than comedian Bill Cosby. Recalls our columnist, improbably, he portrayed the smart one, a Rhodes Scholar who spoke numerous languages, knew all kinds of science, and was an expert in fine arts and martial arts. I was buoyed watching him week after week, knowing that many Americans were seeing all blacks with more respect. When Abdul-Jabbar moved to Los Angeles to play basketball for UCLA, he and Cosby struck up a friendship. Cosby was my friend and mentor, our columnist writes. I ate at his home, listened intently to his advice, discussed racial politics, and laughed with him over small things. He continues, the accusations by 59 women that he drugged, groped, and/or raped them was a punch in America's collective gut. Yet it was even harder for African Americans because for 50 years, Cosby had been our totem to white America that we would just like you. Now that friendly, fatherly face had morphed into that of a sexual predator, and we had to share his shame for having paraded him around so proudly. Abdul-Jabbar sees Cosby's fall from grace as America's fall from innocence, but he also questions his own innocence and that of everyone else. Because, he writes, even though we find his actions despicable, we have to recognize that most men and many women colluded to maintain a social order corrupted by gender disparity. That disparity made women afraid to speak out whenever they were harassed. We made Cosby and Weinstein possible by creating the environment in which they could thrive. When it comes to art created by those like Cosby, the NBA Hall of Famer notes that wrestling with how to deal with the work becomes scary and tricky because, he writes, shunning art for the actions of the artist opens a door to the kind of malevolent censorship that undermines democracy. We might soon include unpopular political positions, religious beliefs, and social opinions. And what about art from accused people who deny wrongdoing and the evidence is inconclusive? Or collaborative art that supports numerous innocent people? Abdul-Jabbar cautions that the attempt to punish the art for the sins of the artist is not a one-size-fits-all remedy to bad behavior. Having said that, our columnist admits, I can no longer watch I Spy without anger, guilt, and shame. And it doesn't stop there, he says. There are other shows, movies, books, artworks, comedians, and musicians I can no longer enjoy. In addition to the horrendous devastation to the individual women, we as a culture are severely damaged, afraid to embrace any art or artist lest they eventually be tainted by bad behavior. We are all trapped in this necessary but exhausting j'accuse cycle of condemnation and punishment, denouncing and renouncing. But Abdul-Jabbar concludes, it must be done. Injustices must be identified as a mandatory step in eliminating them. What makes those who speak out about abuse, whether women, people of color, Muslims, immigrants, or others, so heroic is that the act of speaking out traps the accuser with the accused. To read Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's full column for The Hollywood Reporter, head to THR.com. For The Hollywood Reporter News, I'm Lindsay Rodriguez.